Welcome back to the Onondaga Fieldhouse for our third game of the day between the CatTail Kings. That is the team that is wearing the Tonawanda Braves uniforms. The CatTail Kings and NOAFE, which is the non-orbital athletes from Earth. CatTail Kings get off to a quick start. The non-orbital athletes from Earth, who in their last tournament were the non-Olympic athletes from Earth. They apparently will change. So we will spend a lot of the game trying to come up with new ways for the NOAFE acronym to be played out. Why will we do that? Well, we will do that in part because neither team has submitted a roster. So we literally cannot tell you who any of these players are. But it's evened up there as a nice shot from the outside, makes it 1-1. Now, the CatTail Kings, again, wearing Tonawanda Braves because they're from the Tonawanda area, played earlier this morning and lost to the team from Poland, the developmental team from Poland. So they're a case where you might have thought an over and back call would have been made because NOAFE, the non-orbital athletes from Earth, a shot from the outside, it gets a piece of the goalie and goes in, makes it 2-1. Low angle left-handed shot. You might, as I was saying, you might have thought that it was going to be an over and back because he scooped the ball and he crossed, but he had never established forward momentum. So he was allowed to cross that one line. He wouldn't have been allowed to cross the next line, taking it all the way back into his own zone. Now, unfortunately, if you are fans of these teams, and that's who I would expect is mostly watching this game, I can't provide you insight as to who's doing what. We're going to have a check to the head there. Quite honestly, that was well drawn in terms of the Tonawanda faceoff man came across. He was a little low with the stick. He definitely caught him in the head, but I think a lot of times that would have been considered a brush. But the NOAFE faceoff man kind of adjusted his helmet and looked like he had been disadvantaged. And, you know, a call where advantage and disadvantage are important. That was the issue. Now, they'd gotten lucky on that shot from the outside the last time, tried it again, didn't get it through. So Tonawanda now has to decide, do they want to slow things down? They don't. Take that shot, giving the advantage back. Remember, NOAFE with the power play, the man up. So NOAFE resets the man advantage. That one does not get through. So that's the same player who scored the second goal with that outside left-handed shot. He's now tried a couple of more. And where the first one hit the goalie and went in, the last couple have not been quality shots. There's a little push action that gives the ball over to CatTail Kings. Steps in the crease as he tries to go around the world, and with a game 2-2, don't want to see the hot dogging that went on there. We've got a call coming up against NOAFE. So an illegal substitution, somebody left the bench early, creates a situation for CatTail Kings. Kings have a little confusion as to who's out. NOAFE has a little confusion as well. So both teams confused, which is good because, well, they're confusing me by not giving us rosters, so we can't tell you who all is doing what. But the man advantage, trying to split the double team, gets it in front. Nice save there. But the garbage is picked up and the trash is collected and put in the bin. CatTail Kings even the score at 2 with 10 minutes remaining in the first half. So loose ball kicking around at midfield. Nice double team pressure, but escaping it is CatTail Kings. CatTail Kings, again, in red, playing in Tonawanda Braves jerseys, basically borrowing jerseys from their local team because they are from Tonawanda. NOAFE, the non-orbital athletes from Earth. You have plenty of time to say that as they make that drive. Rebound corralled. Tries behind the back, gets the post. Ball goes out of bounds off the post, so it will stay NOAFE ball. Non-orbital athletes from Earth, previously the non-Olympic. And we get a penalty called against CatTail Kings. So 1 minute slashing call, 8.5 minutes remaining in the half. Shot into the chest of the CatTail Kings goalie. Kings trying to slow things down a little, at least play controlled as they are man down, feed that in front. They're splitting the double, and the one-handed shovel shot gets away. Ball goes to NOAFE's goalie, who kicks it out. Still 20 seconds on the man advantage. Plenty of time. Nice foot save on the break. And they had too many men on the field. No question, he came out, was in the substitution area, but they hadn't yet gotten the penalty to expire. Just a little bit of a game. What happened was he actually came out, and I don't know that he was that early except for the fact that he played the ball. So he's in the substitution area. The ball bounced to him. And the player who was coming off for him couldn't quite get there. So that gives the ball back to NOAFE and the man advantage back to NOAFE, tied at 2 with 7 minutes remaining. Fed over on the wing. So ball comes away. Beats the clock, beats the timeline despite being jammed against the boards. We have a penalty coming. Not only beat the timeline, now he wants to hold as long as he can to get the penalty expired, because that would be a huge help. And with the goalie out in the 5-on-4 attack, the rebound and another rebound. Although they say the last shot he had stepped into the crease for. But fabulous play by CatTail Kings defender. First clearing, then drawing the penalty, then helping to kill clock to make sure that when they got the ball back, they'd have full advantage. So now it's CatTail Kings with the ball and the man advantage in a 2-2 game with 5 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the first half. But they throw that one away. However, luckily it bounces back. So save there, sprawling save. Gets a fresh shot clock. No player misses the easy scoop. Gives the ball back to the CatTail Kings. Oof. And very fortunate for CatTail Kings that the whistle blew when it did, or they would have had an interference with the goalie call. Instead, it was a push down low. And off the crossbar, out of play, stays with the red team. Again, CatTail Kings wearing the jerseys of the Tonawanda Braves. You can actually see a number of the players obviously play for the Braves. They're the guys wearing the shorts. So that ball scooped away. Oh, that was an easy over and back call that was missed because he came up with possession, put his left foot across the line, and then came back and put his right feet behind the line. That should have been over and back, but it wasn't. 10 seconds remaining, doesn't recognize it, manages to not get crushed. He should thank the player on Tonawanda for not lighting him up. But NOAFE loses the ball. Tonawanda, well, CatTail Kings, I should say, comes out with the ball, shoots that wide. So here comes NOAFE. Non-orbital athletes from Earth. That's what it means. Again, they told me it could mean anything. So non-Olympic athletes from Earth. We got to come up with new things for NOAFE. Not only average, few excel. I'm not sure. Let's see. We're going to spend our time filling in the roster sheet with other possibilities for NOAFE. Shot from the outside. Great save there. So NOAFE in transition. 25 they have the fresh shot clock, however. That shot does not get through. And so we're trying to come up with other acronyms for NOAFE, N-O-A-F-E, non-Olympic athletes from Earth. Shot from the outside, stopped there. And I would say that that's just not a quality shot at this tournament. The goalies here should be able to get that. Nice defensive play to jack up the player from NOAFE, who now has come back to get it. Good hustle on his part. Oh, I recognize that player. That's Charlie Ross. So now I have one player who I can describe. I know Alex Siegel from NOAFE, so I should be able to recognize him at some point too. Shot wide. So we got a penalty coming. Too many men penalty coming on the part of NOAFE. N-O-A-F-E. Never obtained a, I keep working on it. So the ball still kicking around in the corner. 41 seconds left in the man up. Nice save there, sprawling save. Fresh possession clock. There's 28 seconds on the clock. There's about 30 seconds in the half. Can't sneak that one by. So it's NOAFE ball. They got to go get that ball in play, and got a chance here, although they're man down. Might as well push it because they have the opportunity. Stopped there. Looking to headman it the other way. Can't do it. And that heave gets us to halftime. We're going to go try to find some rosters. Or if not, we may go try to find some alcohol because that'll make the game more enjoyable for those of us trying to call it without rosters. But our score at halftime, it's the CatTail Kings wearing Tonawanda Braves jerseys, 2. And the non-orbital athletes from Earth, 2. We'll be back with the second half in just a moment. So we're back to the action here at Onondaga Fieldhouse. Our score is 2-2. A nice touch try there. Unable to can it, however. Nice save there by the CatTail Kings goalie. That ball kicks around. And again, in the second half, the team's benches are in their offensive zone. Fed back. And that goal, that's the one of two players who I know, so I don't have to ask. That's Charlie Ross, the former Union College player, with the goal. Charlie, who has also played a little bit of box lacrosse in the Boston Box League. So NOAFE has the 3-2 lead now and comes away with the ball on the next possession. Fed in front, can't do anything with it, however. Reverse transition the other way, 3-on-2. Fed down low, couldn't hold it on the far side, and then had to basically fall in. Ross, who just scored the last goal, gives it over to someone else on their team because the non-orbital athletes from Earth did not submit a roster before this game for us to be able to use it. Next outing, ask for eggs. NOAFE could stand for that. Nice save there. Well-designed play that got the shot off on the inside. Never overindulge, a foreign excess. How about that for NOAFE? I don't know. Working on it. Oh, nice little play there. But unable to handle the ball. Now he stepped into the crease. But we have a penalty coming against the CatTail Kings. So, NOAFE goes back on the man up with a 3-2 lead. Kicked around, now down low. Nice save there. The quick left-handed shot. Fed ahead. Can he corral it? He does. Nice save. So the CatTail Kings come up with a good save. Now they want to kill a little more clock till they get back to even strength, which should happen here in about 10 seconds. And a little bonus. As the clock keeps running, it'll end the penalty, and they're going to get a man advantage. As they fed the ball down low, a holding call went against NOAFE. So the CatTail Kings and the non-orbital athletes from Earth. Nice save there. Ball comes over to NOAFE. That's Alex Siegel. I know Alex, he actually worked some games with me in Israel. Alex, who interned for Israel Lacrosse a few summers ago, gets pinned in the corner. That ball gets kicked in front, unable to corral it, heads into the corner. Passed back. Off the post. Oh, and then because the player fell, it's a free ball. So now, fed in front. Loose ball corralled, even up. That feed in front, nice check there. NOAFE player getting back to do the dirty work. So, loose ball comes away. It's Siegel again, straight to the net. And he scores. Alex Siegel gets the goal for the non-orbital athletes from Earth as they take a 2-goal lead with just under 9 minutes remaining in regulation. Again, we're able to make that call and say who it was on the goal because we know Alex Siegel. By the way, in Israel at Netanya during the World Championships in July, I met his mother. If she's watching this game, Mrs. Siegel, good for you that you got to see your son score. I think that's more exciting than watching him announce a game, which you got to watch him do out in Netanya. But NOAFE determined to potentially give this back. They wind up with another player in the box. So the CatTail Kings in the red uniforms, back on the man up. And cashing it in on the quick pass and shot from the outside. So it's 4-3 with 7.5 minutes remaining in regulation. That took less than 15 seconds into the man up. Still working on coming up with other names for NOAFE, N-O-A-F-E. How about no one asked for excuses? So an early release by Red before sort of left early, gives the ball back to NOAFE. Its lead cut down to 1, which didn't take long. Now loose ball in the corner. Nice steal there, gets that ball forward for the CatTail Kings. Fed across that high looping pass allows NOAFE to get back in and set their defense. Ball down on the wing. Got a piece of the goalie. That's Siegel coming away with the loose ball. And they say that he stepped in. He's saying he was pushed in. No time to argue. Fed in front. Shovel shot stopped. Picked up by Charlie Ross. Ross with the speed. Can he go the whole way? Got one man coming to beat him. Stopped. And then he stepped in the crease. Touched the ball again. So that will give it back to. And by the way, if that is not Charlie Ross, it certainly looks like him. But if it's not, well, I'm sorry that I got it wrong. Nice save. Long drive, he's in the crease. Ball comes over back to CatTail Kings. So they wound up actually walking the ball back in to the goal circle. So in other words, CatTail Kings player thought he was getting the ball from the goalie, but they ruled that he was outside and walked it in. He could take that ball from the goalie inside the crease, but he cannot take it from outside and go back in with it. And a nice save there, as it looked like that left-handed shot might go 5-hole. A big outside shot without a screen, without anything in front. The goalies in this tournament should stop that the vast majority of the time. And it doesn't make a difference where exactly the shot is. I mean, yes, you can have a perfect shot, will beat a goalie, but it's going to take a perfect shot. And that's going to be stopped 9 times out of 10. This ball off the NOAFE shot. Headman passes whistled away. They said the ball is staying with NOAFE. Fed out wide. A little behind, a nice little shovel to get the man back. And then a nice pick from the outside. So NOAFE extends the lead. With 3 minutes and 15 seconds remaining in regulation. Around the world pass that dropped the ball back for the outside shot. Stung the corner. And then a face-off win, gets their ball right back to the last shooter. Back to the face-off man, stopped there. Ooh, and a feed inside. 2 in a row. And NOAFE scores again. And at this point, it's looking pretty good. If you are a member of the non-orbital athletes from Earth, they were the non-Olympic athletes before. Still trying to come up with more possible names for NOAFE. Not obligated after failing exams. That would work. Siegel comes away with the loose ball. Headmans that pass. Another breakaway. Oh, and it sneaks by. A big piece for the goalie. But you got to get a bigger piece than that. And that makes it 7-3. And the body language on the CatTail Kings suggests that the fat lady is singing on this one, or she's at least warming up with 1 minute and 20 seconds remaining. So for all the things that the refs call, they don't apparently call early movement on faceoffs, at least not on that one. They need to feed the ball in and make something happen, and there they do. Right as we get to stop time, so the stop time occurs with 1 minute left. If they can pile up 3 more of those in the next minute, they can make an impossible comeback, because it's now 7-4 with 1 minute remaining. Nice little feed inside, shovel shots, which most people will tell you don't work very often. Well, they don't have to work often, they just have to work now. So we go back to the circle with 1 minute remaining exactly in regulation. And NOAFE comes away with the ball. They want to run away from all the pressure. This is about clock. Here comes a 2-on-1, extra man open. Oh, he misses that one. And it bounces into the bench. Best of all worlds for CatTail Kings. Need to push the attack, can't take your time. 40 seconds remaining. Fed over. Goalie comes away with it. And that heave, well, it's going to basically wind up being CatTail Kings' ball, but it took about 6 seconds off the clock and a few more as they have to get the ball back. And again, why are you taking your time? You need to get a shot off here as quickly as possible. Player who just touched it and run through the crease, that gives possession back to NOAFE, and Alex Siegel starts with it. And at this point, it is all over but the celebration. As they do not go to take that shot, ball comes back to Siegel. And that will do it as the non-orbital athletes from Earth score their first win of the tournament by a 7-3 score over the CatTail Kings. So again, the CatTail Kings from Tonawanda, playing in the red Tonawanda Braves jerseys, fall for the second time here today. NOAFE, the non-orbital athletes from Earth, get their first win, 7-3. I'm Chuck Jaffe. Thanks for joining me. We'll be back with more from the Lacrosse All-Stars North American Invitational. The next game will start in